Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I've got my friend Amanda joining us.
Hi.
She is a Swede who moved to the US for a little while, and I thought this would be a great chance to tell a little bit about your story, your experiences in Sweden and the US, living in some cool places in the US. So why don't we just jump right into it?
Well, a little while was 7 years, actually.
Yeah, that is a long while, actually.
Yeah. Well, where do I start? I knew I wanted to go to the States when I was 16, and straight out of high school, I decided to work my ass off for 4 years, save up money, and move to New York, which I did 2014. And I was 22 at the time. Went to school for 1 year at New York Film Academy, studied film production, and then I stayed there and started working. And got myself a work visa and worked in TV series and feature films for several different companies. And then I got to the point of extending my current work visa and wanted to get the experience of Los Angeles as well. So I moved there 2017 and was there for 4 years.
Yeah, so that's like really interesting perspective because I feel like when Swedes travel to the US, it's like the two top cities that they're always going to is like New York, LA, and then like some Florida in there too. I feel like those are like the three top spots. But like, I'm curious your perspective being a Swede, living in New York and living in LA. Was there one that you had like a certain preference over? One that was more similar to culture in Sweden? Or maybe there's just
I wanted nothing that had to do with Sweden. I wanted to get away from here, and I wanted nothing that was similar to anything. I just wanted a completely different experience and something new. But I knew for my industry that America was the place to go for production.
Yeah.
And I was just obsessed with the whole, I want to work in the right language. Swedish is such a small language, and I was just so prone to like doing my career from the harder angle, like start from where it's started, like where the discipline is. The way you work in film in America is more military discipline style than it is here. I didn't know that at the time, but I just knew...
The work-life balance is a lot different. And I'd
imagine
New York and Stockholm, it's like very...
People just work there, and the days are very much longer, and not just in my industry either. But that wasn't scaring me at all, and I didn't care about lifestyle or anything. I just wanted to work in the city where everything happens in my industry. But I chose New York over LA. I was sort of into going to LA from the beginning first as well, but there was just something about New York that felt wider in the culture of the world. A little bit more than Los Angeles. That's why I chose New York from the beginning.
What were your favorite things about living in New York? The
people. The attitude of New Yorkers is amazing. There's nothing else like it. The constant something new can happen every week and every day. Like a pop-up restaurant or a pop-up store or a pop-up this and that events. And I feel like you don't see... I mean, even though Sweden is a very open-minded culture as well, where you can come here and be whoever you want and just be who you want to be, I feel like New York shows that way more than Sweden does. Like visually, you see it way more in the streets in New York than you do in Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah,
and it's so many. You have everything in New York. You have Koreatown. You have a little Chinatown. You have little Italy. You have, when I was in New York last time, I was in the Spanish Harlem, and everybody was speaking Spanish everywhere. I mean, you have a really, really cool multicultural experience, and the energy there is just so cool. But I think in some ways I feel like Stockholm is kind of like a mini New York. Like not the same in terms of like energy. Let me elaborate on this. So like Stockholm is like the biggest city in Sweden. right? Yeah. And New York is the biggest city in the U.S. So everyone that has high ambitions and aspirations and wants to work hard and make something of themselves, a lot of them are going to New York. And it's sort of similar mindset in Sweden. We have people from all over Sweden, a lot of internationals as well, maybe not as much as New York. They're all coming to Stockholm. And I feel like the energy in New York is unmatched. I mean, let's just say that up front. But I think that there is a lot of like social life and activities going on in Stockholm where people go out to eat a lot, people are meeting friends, people are going out doing social activities a lot in Stockholm, whereas it's like very much like that in New York as well, right? Like people eat out all the time there, for example. So I don't know, maybe I...
Don't you think that's just a common feature of any capital or big city?
I don't know. You lived in LA. Do you think? Because LA is so spread out. I feel like that's one similarity between Stockholm and New York is that with the public transportation systems, it's easier to get everywhere. Whereas like I have friends in LA that I would just never see because they were on the other side of town that I was staying.
But I feel as though that it's still a like action-based city, Los Angeles as well. Yeah. People still go out a lot.
That's true, like, but you stay more in your
you have your
bubble.
Yeah, you have your little village, you have your spot where you have a bunch of restaurants and your friends, and you don't go out of your way really to go far because you just have to drive everywhere, which sucks, but you get used to it. But the whole not being able to just go for a walk and find something while you're out walking on a Sunday afternoon or whatever for a couple of hours, you can't really do that in LA. You have to plan your day, really. It's the reason I only went to Santa Monica, I can count on two hands for those 4 years I lived there that I went there because I lived in Burbank. Okay. And I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The traffic.
And that's not even the furthest distance of like places. Like I was staying with my uncle in the Hollywood Hills last time I was in LA, and I had friends in Huntington Beach, and like without traffic, it's like 90 minutes, right? With traffic, it's like 4 hours. Like, I could go to like Gothenburg and back with the train in Stockholm by the time it takes to be in like the same city. So
it's insane.
I mean, there's no knock on LA because like each like area, neighborhood that we're talking about, it's like over 1 million people, right? It's like, I'm living in LA and I only stay in my Hollywood bubble, but it's like, all right, that's basically like all of Stockholm is that bubble. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question though. I've thought about this a lot. As far as I heard from all the people I've ever known or talked to in the States, a lot of them don't really leave their country. When they talk about traveling and going on vacation, if they go to Florida or they go to Arizona or Mexico, but they don't... I did not meet a lot of people that went to Europe or Asia or anywhere else.
A lot of people don't even have passports.
Right, and that's really interesting. I mean, I understand that America is a huge country and they can offer all the different environments of beautiful winter and beautiful landscapes, or hiking and mountains, or the exotic areas of Miami or whatnot. But here, if you're in Sweden or you live anywhere in Europe, like you were just saying, it's so close and cheap to fly somewhere for like an hour or 2 or 3, and you're in a completely different country where they speak another language and have a completely different culture. So I think that's an interesting thing.
There's several things you have to take into account. The first, you sort of mentioned that like the U.S. land-wise is sort of like the same size as like all of Europe. I mean, not exact same, but like very, very similar. So if you just take that into account, like, okay, if we're living in Sweden and we go visit Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, that's like, okay, I'm in Seattle and I went to LA, Houston, Texas. I mean, distance-wise, right? So you get a lot in one place. So if you like factor that out, it's sort of crazy. And then also like in the US, people are so focused on like career and like the next milestone. Like we were touching on this in an earlier conversation where like so many people in Europe, they take a gap year after high school. Whereas very few people would do that. After high school, people are either like joining the workforce right away or going on to college right away. And it's kind of like you have this like checklist of like, all right, go to high school, check. Go to college, check. Meet your future wife, check. You know, get married, have a family, check. It's
people tend to get married so much quicker and earlier in the States than here.
Exactly. So I think it's a combination of the two. I think it's a combination of just like the rest of the world being very far away. The US also having a very us-centric view of the world, which I think we would benefit a lot by seeing how other cultures live, because the more you travel, the more you realize that there are a lot of different ways to view the world and to handle all these situations and problems that we deal with as people. There's not one right way or one wrong way.
But so do you think do you like or dislike the fact about America's offer of different environments within the same country? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you prefer the European
for me,
options of being able to fly 40 minutes somewhere and you're in a completely different country with a different language and a different culture? Which one do you, No,
for me personally, I'm very interested in wider differences. Like, I love trying to learn new languages. I love going to Spain and being like, all right, I want to try to improve my Spanish. I want to meet people that are completely different. I mean, the difference between a Spanish person and a Swedish person is much wider than the difference of an Oregonian and an Alabama person.
Exactly.
I mean, they both speak the same language. They watch the same TV programs in the same language. I mean, they have the same sports that they watch. Everything. There are cultural differences throughout the U.S., of course, but I like that extreme. I like when it's like you go to another place and boom, everything's different.
And even to go to a couple of countries in Europe where they're not as good in English, where you actually have to experience the factor of like, oh, I couldn't even go and buy a bottle of water on my vacation for an hour because this person wouldn't understand me. Like, getting that experience at least once or whatnot, I think that is
just not
like
drinking
a good
water once in a while.
No, but like maybe it's a stupid example, but like just being like put under pressure a little bit and not just having that complete comfort zone around you all the goddamn time, on vacation.
It's not a stupid example because when I was in Poland, that person working at the restaurant that we were eating at one day did not understand water. So
really?
So you work at a restaurant and you don't understand water in English. Like, I had to use Google Translate. Like, what did people do?
What was water in Polish?
I don't remember. This was years ago. But then you just use like hand signals, like not.
And then they're like, not boost, but how do you say not that? But that's what I'm saying. That's a fun experience.
Yeah.
It can turn into a fun thing, right? Like that's what you want. Or I think that's what is an ideal vacation where you have to work a little to get what you want, because it's a different experience and that's a part of it. Like that, I think that's important.
When you're in that situation, you realize how much of communication is nonverbal. I mean, before I spoke Swedish, I just remember like being in Sweden and being like, I don't know what these people are saying, but I can tell a lot just from the body language, the attitude, the tone of voice, everything. And I just feel like I could relate to somebody even if I didn't speak the language yet. And it's similar in Spain. And now in Spain, I'm like getting enough words here and there to pick up the context. But it's interesting. And I think you become more confident in yourself when you put yourself in a situation like that where you're like, I don't speak the language at all, but I know I'm still going to manage. You know, like I'm still going to make the most out of it. Like, that's a pretty cool feeling. So out of New York, LA, you just talked about what you loved about New York. Now what do you love about LA?
The outdoorsy life.
Yeah.
The hikes. I mean, I didn't think back then that I cared about the weather, which I still to this day don't really think is one of the big reasons I liked to live there. But now that I don't live there anymore, I realized that was one of the reasons, because you could do anything you want outdoors and not worry. And here, it's like so schizophrenic every single day. You can go from 2 hours in the morning thinking it's winter, and then for 3 hours in the afternoon it's spring, and then it's back to winter. So like here you can't prepare yourself with what you're wearing, or if you're gonna freeze your ass off, or if you're gonna sweat.
This time of year especially, so, like the spring. I mean, you can have snow in May, and you can have the nicest weather ever in May.
Exactly.
Like, you never know.
But Los Angeles, sure, I like the attitude of New Yorkers, but you can find cool people in Los Angeles too, obviously. Yeah. I'm not going to say that everybody's trying to kiss ass over there, but it's definitely a cool city. Yeah. And I somehow prefer the culture and look of the city of New York more and the people. But LA had the lifestyle of what I like, being outdoors a lot. Actually, really, really good food. Yeah. Like, not just in restaurants, like the wide variety of cuisines and doing them really well. Yeah. Like, grocery stores wise in California or Los Angeles is amazing. Yeah. Really, really good.
Good produce.
Yes.
Mexican food is like one of my favorite types of food, and just unreal down there. I mean, I tried maybe like 15 different Mexican food places when I was in Barcelona, and I would say like there's maybe 3 or 4 that could like compete with like good Mexican in LA out of like the 15. So I was like 1 out of 3 of the ones I tried in Barcelona, and a lot of these I was like, really, like this? But we have a few really good ones in Stockholm. I'm not going to say them on here because I want to keep my places like I don't want to have to wait in line to have my favorite tacos.
Well, they've become better, I guess. But have you ever talked about the Swedish Friday taco nights on your channel?
Yeah. Well,
how ridiculously bad and sad they are?
Anyone that puts banana on a taco is just like way over the line. Cucumber, I can understand, but I still think it's weird.
Families here don't even make guac with freaking avocado.
Yeah, they buy the mix, right?
They buy the powder and mix it with sour cream, and that's sad.
I can enjoy Swedish taco night, but I think we just all need to understand that Mexicans do tacos.
It has nothing to do with Mexico.
Mexican tacos are the best. If you have a problem with that, tell me in the comments section.
Yeah, because Swedish fredagsmys.
Yeah, we're gonna get so much hate for this.
I don't care.
But the fact that I have a Swede on my channel agreeing with me, that's amazing, right?
It's sad and bad. It's really, really sad. Yeah. But hey.
But also, like, I think Swedish people, they get like riled up about the silliest things.
Oh,
like, there will be actually people in the comment section like really upset about this. It's like, well, you choose your stand about like.
I'm sure they'll get pissed off about the pineapple and curry on pizza then.
Yeah, no, the banana on the pizza.
That's disgusting.
Like, yeah, well, it's funny.
No, don't say that you like it.
No, I don't like it, but I was going to say that one of the Airbnbs I was staying at in Barcelona was an Italian guy, and he was like talking about, oh, pineapple pizza, that's not real Italian. I'm like, oh, you think that's bad? The Swedes put banana and curry on their pizza.
It's disgusting, and our pizza culture, though, it's not good.
Yeah.
The Swedish way, like a street style pizza, we don't really, I mean, it's nothing like compared to like the pizzas of New York, the pizzas of Los Angeles. Yeah. And that is one thing, good, cool thing about pizzas in the States, I think, that I started to learn there, that you have different pizzas of every state. Yeah. And I didn't know that moving there.
Yeah.
Chicago deep dish is the shit.
You like that more than the New York?
I don't know. They're two completely different experiences, but they're really good.
The one pizza I will give Sweden credit for that they invented, sort of ish, is the kebab pizza. I can be on board.
I don't like kebab, dude.
Really?
I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
I can be on board with kebab pizza. That's the one that I will give Sweden.
I'd any day take that over banana or pineapple on my pizza, so that's fine.
Oh, there is another one that's good with the flank steak and the béarnaise sauce. That's a good one. I love béarnaise
sauce on pizza is still not acceptable. It's just like putting ketchup on your bolognese, man. Like, don't do that.
Well, that's like...
Italians will turn in their grave. Don't put ketchup on your bolognese.
I just love béarnaise sauce. I can eat béarnaise sauce on anything. Almost anything.
Ew. No. Anyway.
All right. So
where were we?
To wrap all of this up, now that we've talked about some highlights of New York, highlights of LA, what are your favorite things of Sweden now that you're back home, that you've had fresh eyes on Swedish
Well,
culture?
I'm from Stockholm, and I've never lived anywhere else in Sweden, so I can only refer to Stockholm. But I do like the size of this city. It's small, but it's big enough to offer different experiences. You don't feel like you're crammed in a really tiny city.
Yeah.
And I mean, coming from Los Angeles and New York, that are huge, but that in a way can be, if you have too much offered to you at all times, you feel stressed about, I'm missing out on so many cool new experiences that I don't even know where to put myself. But in Stockholm, it's nice to be able to, you can be anywhere within
30, 40 minutes.
Exactly, or less, and you're still from one side to the other of the city, and it's great that way. And the walking distance to a lot of good things, and the quality of lifestyle here that I did not pay attention to when I moved to the States, or because when you grow up with that, you don't think about what you have until you don't have it, right? And now that I'm in my 30s, I value that way more, I think, for my future, coming from having experienced 6 months of the pandemic and full lockdown in the States before I came back to Sweden August of 2020, a year and a half ago. I think that's something to really value, how stable and what everybody's saying about Sweden, that it is a really good country, and it is. You can still get the crazy, amazing experiences from going on vacation or staying somewhere for 3 months, go stay in New York for a few months, go and stay in Spain for 3 months. You can do that, but if you have you're lucky if you have a base here. Yeah. You really are. And I experiencing the pandemic in the States for 6 months, losing all my jobs and had to leave everything behind that I built up. I was so lucky feeling that I was a citizen of Sweden, and that I could come back to the safety and stability of this and rebuild my career again and do what I'm doing now, working in TV. And I understand why you want to live here. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I think that's it for today. Thanks for joining, Amanda. Go ahead and leave some comments down below. And if you want to see what Americans in LA think about Sweden, check out this video right here. All right, see you guys next time.
Bye.